Hello and a warm welcome back. Today you join me in the control room and we are continuing on with the winding of the Tektronix 585A transformer. I have just wound this winding on here, this high voltage winding. As you saw before, there was like a divot which I need to fill in. So what I'm going to do, see this winding here, I'm going to put that in that divot. However, the winding calls for 27 gauge wire. This is the chart that I've been using to convert AWG, American wire gauge, into millimeters. 27 gauge 0.61, and so I got some 0.63 out and thinking and then I thought, hold on, this is a bit daft. Look, the higher the number of your winding gauge, the thinner it is. So we've just wound some 25 gauge on, which is 0.45, and so 27 gauge is thinner. So how can 27 gauge be 0.61? Well, it ain't. This is wrong. Beware using online bloody resources. You've got to be careful. This is a if you go on DigiKey's site, they've got some really good calculators and things for working at all sorts of different parameters for your electronics. It's a really good free resource, and I trust it because it's DigiKey. I'll try and zoom you in. This is 25 gauge, and that is correct. The chart that we just did is correct, 0.45. And now we'll bung in 27, 0.36, which is roughly half the diameter that what that chart told us. So I was about to wind like a load of turns on there with the wrong gauge wire. However, the thlop plickens. The winding we are winding is 3536, 37 volts, and it says this goes to a DC fan. Eh? There is no DC bleeding fan in a Tektronix 500, in any Tektronix 500 oscilloscope. So what the F? So I went digging. Yesterday I went into the scope itself and followed the wires from the wires that join onto these terminations 35, 36 of the transformer. Went to, you know, there's like a few ceramic wafers in there where it's rectified and all the rest of it. Couldn't find a thing, and then I thought, aha, I went to the I'm gonna have to point you to somewhere else now. All Tektronix 500 oscilloscopes use a time delay valve. It's not a thermionic valve, it's just like a time delayed relay. They all use that to delay start the high voltage windings, and it's called K600 in this case. In this case it's a 28 I don't know, something like a one moment. So as you can see, K600 is an 18 volt 30-second delay relay. So why do we need 37 volts? Good question. Although it doesn't show it here, there is a resistor somewhere which drops the voltage down to where we want it. Anyway, that's the problem solved. So if you go hunting about for a DC fan in a 500 series Tektronix oscilloscope, you won't find one, and it's probably going to this. It goes to it direct, in that it's not rectified, it's AC. Where's she gone? Don't know if you can see that, it's a bit hard to keep tracking it. First queen bumblebee I've seen this year. Just wandered in, she's looking for a good nest site and it ain't in here. Oh, come on, ducky. There she is, ain't she a beauty? Oh, come on now, this is a crap place for a nest. Come on here, duck. There she goes. Really hard to track her. No, it isn't in there. I've tried to give you lots of places in the garden for you to nest in. There she goes. Oh no, she's come back for another look. I never feel, oh God blimey, she's gone behind me. Like she's not looking to make a nest up my arse. Anyway, yeah, weather's warming up. It's not raining today. A nice interlude to winding transformers. Hope this isn't making you giddy. Right, I'll try and go and scoosh her out. Where's she gone now? Go on there, duck. Out you pop. Anyway. Nice interlude. Well, Mrs. Bumblebee's gone. And I'm at a point where I have a bit of a quandary. I've managed to do 50 turns. Well, yeah, sorry, 53 turns. And I'm sort of at the end of that sort of divotty bit. So what do I do now? Do I keep sort of going on and that just accentuates the bump for the rest of the layers on top? Or do I sort of spiral back, like just do 5 turns on top of all these ones? Or do I just do like a sort of 90-degree thing? Well, I did. Well, it's the other problem when you're mucking about with wire, it gets all tangled up. So, I could have like sort of done that sort of thing, yeah? Just done a sort of spiral back to the beginning. I'm not really comfortable about that, so the sort of compromise I've come to is just to put another 5 turns on here and then go out at a right angle. If you can't really see, I don't know if you can see, let me see if you can see. Get you a shot of that pointy. So we've sort of got a high here and it dips, and then we've got like, this is the lowest point here, so I'm thinking if I can put 5 turns here, that'll fill that in a bit, and then we should be cushy, well, as cushy as we can be. Here we are, yet another day, putting some more turns onto this Tech 585A transformer rewind, and this winding here is the winding 815 140 volt winding. It's quite a beefy winding in that we're using 21 gauge or 0.72 millimeter, although this is 0.71 millimeter. So anyway, I took some readings the other day, some measurements to try and figure out where I was regards window space, and unfortunately I'm over. My original calculations, and this is with this Nomex insulation between every winding, was 38% of the total window space, and that was with the primary, shield and all the HT winding, high voltage HT windings. Although we have like put on a few windings, we've got rid of a few windings that would ordinarily go on top, like combining the buck boost windings with the primary, it's still not good. As mentioned, this winding is one of the ones that is shorted 3 times that I know of for certain, between that one and the 217 volt windings. So this one goes on next according to the tech data sheet thing, specification, and then we put on the other 2 windings that are the cause of the problem. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this one on, not put those ones on next, and then there's another high voltage winding. I'm going to put that in between this one and the 2 other problematic windings, if you understand me. The other thing that I've done, which I was which is a bit counterintuitive, is to put some Nomex on there between the windings underneath and this winding. That is eating up our window space. However, I thought it was justified in this case because we've got some quite heavy gauge winding going on. That is going to be under quite a lot of tension. I don't want that eating into the windings underneath. Therefore, I think we need something better than just this yellow tape. I've been trying to rely on this yellow tape, which is thinner than this Nomex, and then for double insulation using Kapton tape. So that's, yeah, that just goes to show you how your window space, how your calculations and everything, no matter how good you wind it and all the rest of it, and that's how your window space can just go poof, disappear into fucking outer space. Anyway, onwards and upwards. I'm just going to crack on. I ain't got no bleeding choice, as mentioned once or twice before. One thing I did forget to mention with all my blethering is I need to put a 90-degree kink on there. If you put a 90-degree kink on any sort of material, be it copper, steel or whatever, you're putting a stress point on there. So it's not advisable, but it's got to be done. So to try and do that without like knackering the insulation up, and to try and do it as gentle as possible, I've just got an old pair of pliers here, and I'm using the a bit of gas plastic insulation tape to ensure that the insulation isn't damaged. There we go, that'll have to do. That's another layer finished, and that went on really easily. That went on lovely. This winding higher, thicker gauge wire is a lot easier. It takes intense concentration to do the thinner gauge wire, because obviously you've got a lot more turns, and trying to get every turn to go on perfectly is, yeah, it takes a lot of concentration. What I hope you can see there is that the window space is sort of leveled out by putting that turn on that I put on underneath, if you're with me. So yeah, there's still a few umps and bumps and what have you, but that's okay. The other thing is, I calculated that we would have 97 turns per layer, and I've actually got 89 turns per layer. So I'm not quite sure what happens there, but I mean that's all good. So working on the 97 turns per layer, we should have 2 1/4 layers, as it were. But if I keep on with this sort of spacing, then we should have less than that. But then that leaves us with the dilemma which we had before, as if you've got like a 1/4 of a turn here, what do you do with this gap? If you just wind on top of that without addressing that gap, trying to fill it in with, say, another winding, then it's going to be uneven, and then that causes problems when you wind, because like the wire wants to slip down, as it were. So your foundation is really important, is what I'm trying to say. But I'll have a look at that when we finish the winding. As mentioned, this winding was one of the problem windings that caused the fault previously. So what I shall do, I shall just use some tape to insulate that from the next layer, and then I will insulate it again with Nomex on top of that. But we are running out of window, but whatever, you just have to keep going. When starting my next layer, after I've put the tape on, I'll just put that bit of tape on there just to hold it while I was turning the camera on. What I'm doing, a bit hard to see, let me try and get round. What I'm doing, I'm trying to put like that sort of a, damn, you can't see, that sort of a shape on, so that it goes on into the corners and goes on straight, if you're with me. So yeah, another little tip. Just going to put a few more turns on. We've got the counter on, so at this point I'm just sort of getting started. It takes a few goes, and I haven't got the, ooh, you see it's a tricky bugger. Trying to put that kink in, and it won't go on just so you want it. Right, now it's starting to take up the tension. Now we're on tension, so that's the first few turns, and as you can see we've got gaps. But what I found is that if you get like what, about 5 turns on, using a stick, which I keep dropping on the floor, you can just bunch them up after you've got like a few turns on, say to here, because then they create some sort of, I don't know, it just makes them so that when you push them up they stay there. On wobble cam, can't be asked to move the chair out of the way and set the tripod up. So as you can see, that's what I've done. I've got about 5 turns on, and then I've just used the faithful stick to just dress them up nice. Now I can crack on with the rest of the winding. Well, the turns are flying on. As you can hear from the counter, it's a pleasure to wind. Would that all windings went on like that so easily. I do get the odd one wrong, but I don't know whether that's due to the gauge or the technique getting a bit better. We're nearly at the end of another lap, and I haven't had to dress it with my faithful stick too often. Right, this is a tricky bit, getting towards the end. Have to slow down a bit. That's it. Put my brake on. Yeah, another layer on. What we got? 580. Right, what did we start? We started at 180 turns. So we've got 180 turns on. Where are we? Need another 39 turns to finish that off, and then that's winding. That winding is done. Hurrah! This is shot in the future. I'm finally getting towards the end. There's quite a bit more footage to come yet, but this is as much as I can be asked to edit just at the moment. A couple of things about the channel and all that. Despite my best efforts, people keep subscribing. Please don't subscribe. Don't. Like if you have to, but yeah, I don't do this for subscribers or likes or whatever, or for money, just to share knowledge. The other thing is, I've noticed quite recently on quite a few channels that I'm on, you'll get people posting stuff, so you'll get something in your inbox saying contact like the Diabolical Artificer. I don't think my channel has got to that point yet. Contact whoever on Telegram. I will never contact you unless it's somebody I know personally, like Frank or Ian, and ask you to contact me on Telegram. I don't do Telegram. It's a load of bollocks. It's a scam. So watch out for that. What else is it? Right, I'm off to rehab for the next week or so. So who knows when the next video will be out. You just have to bear with me. You know what it's like. Anywho, take care of yourselves. Ta-ra for now.